Tide. Okay, so let's stick with my... this is the band I ripped off for this song. So the band I ripped off for this song is a band called The Horn the Hunt. So a friend of ours played bass two friends of ours played bass and guitar in the live band. So I was introduced to it through them. A great band. If you've never heard of them, go check them out. Pretty kind of similar vibe, male and female, two-piece band, with musically some similarities, but a lot of differences. That they're more kind of the ambient side of things. Mm-hmm. Although they've got some great kind of driving tracks. But they have a song called Seashells, which if you listen to the intro riff of that song and the intro riff of Tide, it's a very similar thing with the delay. And even kind of the vocal, even the way the vocal's delivered, it's similar. Different tonal palettes and different ways of singing, but it's got a very, very similar vibe to that. And I just remember hearing that song and just, for me, it's my favourite song of theirs that they do. And it has such a unique sound and such a unique thing to it. I mean, their song just is kind of sparse and ambient throughout. Obviously, Tide gets a bit more rocky towards the end of it. So that was my initial idea. I want to do something with that kind of repeated delay sound. That riff, just as I tend to do, I just sit there with the guitar. I tend to try different effects. I'm a big fan of delayed. There's a lot of delayed guitars on this album. Gold, Persistence will come to, Aridity will come to. There's drums there's delay on the drums in Quiet. We didn't talk about that, but there's loads of delay actually on the drums, which is something that I'm sure people do, but I just did it because I thought it sounded ace. So that was the main kind of idea. Like, right, I want to write something that has this kind of triplet delay feel. I knew I wanted it to be solo guitar. I knew I wanted it to be this very stripped down, very what's the word I'm looking for?
Spacious. Yeah,
spacious, quite insecure in itself. It's very, it's very bare, vulnerable. And it's just this kind of little riff that happens, and then I always knew that it would do a big kind of rocky ending. I think my inspiration for that, even though I love the original, the My Immortal by Evanescence on their album, it's just a piano piece. It's a piano and orchestral piece. When they released it as a single, they had this kind of big rock chorus at the end, which is fine, I guess, to sell a single. It definitely did what it was supposed to do, but I always preferred the fragile version that they have on the album where it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, right, well, let's kick it up a notch. We hadn't, this was years before we'd written Tell, and I just didn't know if a song that just did something stripped back and acoustic without like a band element to it would work for us. So, it totally would, but at that point I didn't know, because Tide was very early in the stage as well. It was like third or fourth song written.
Yeah.
It's pretty much two sections the entire way through. You have the intro riff, you have a slightly different riff for the, whatever you want to call it, a pre or a, it's not really a chorus, the Into the Sea bit. And then the ending is just the quiet part played, but with guitars. We originally had a very beautiful, luscious guitar solo on there.
We did.
By our friend Lee Wood, but when we came to re-record it, I don't know why. I think part of me just didn't want to bother him. I didn't have the original file, so I couldn't just take the one he did and put it on this new version of it. Recording these was all during lockdown, so I didn't want to bother people to be like, right, can you do this for me? And part of me misses it, and part of me thinks, no, it's fine, because I guess vocals take over a little bit more in that, because we had to strip all the vocals back just so the guitar solo was there.
Yeah.
I had a bit of fun playing drums on this. It's completely stupid. It's over the top. There's just fills in there for no reason whatsoever. But I was just like, even though I'm a drummer, I've not paid much attention to the drums on this album. They're very much a foundational instrument. There's nothing in there I would consider interesting. Well, semi-interesting for a drummer. But in this one, I just thought, sod it, and just did some silly little things. And thankfully, it fades out before all the really stupid fast fills that have no place whatsoever. Yeah, and the only real thing, I mean, again, this song hasn't changed since it was written, probably late 2016, early 2017. Hasn't really changed at all vocally. I mean, you know, when you came to me with the lyrics, they've kind of stayed they stayed the same melody-wise.
Yeah.
I know when we recorded it for the version that's on YouTube, the demo version, I don't know if you had a cold or you weren't feeling well or you just had a sore throat that day, but it was really scratchy, and we really liked that. But again, forcing you in a position to hurt your voice, or you record a fragile kind of broken take isn't necessarily the safest thing to do. So So they are different, but again, it's different sides of the same coin. I don't think anyone's better, but it's nice hearing the kind of, you know, struggling, not struggling in a bad way, but like, you know, the voice was straining on the first track, which is nice. You hear these breaks and cracks, which, like you said, it's the nuances that count. And then this one just has a bit more of a stronger delivery, which is good, you know, because I know you'll talk about the lyrics, but I really like the lyrics in this one. I kind of got it straight away, which I'm stupid, I'm thick, I'm not. I don't, as talked about in Embers, I don't write lyrics, so I tend to read them as they are, and I'm always smart enough to look at metaphors and hidden meanings. Even in songs I've loved for 20 odd years, I'll watch a reaction video on YouTube, I'm like, do you know it's about this? I'm like, no, did not get that. Or do you know it's about, you know, this so-and-so having an illness, or do you know it's actually about the Vietnam War? It's like, really? Like, yeah. Is it?
Where does it say that?
I thought we were about moustache, or, you know, I thought we were about cheese. Like, no, cheese is a metaphor for the downfall of the Soviet Union. Like, is it? Okay. So yeah, I don't kind of get it, but when I remember listening to this, because recollection is sketchy, but I remember we were sat in one of the old rooms at the place we used to work, and you were kind of right next to me when we recorded it.
Yeah.
Which I don't recall if we've done that too often. Sometimes you'd kind of go off in a little studio, you'd go off in a different room, and I'd get the files off you after the fact. But I do remember kind of being in, you know, you're literally recording him like a couple of feet away from me.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily think that had any effect as such, but I think we've not really done that too much. So it was quite a nice memory. So yeah, thank you On the Hunt for writing Seashells. And thank you, Evanescence, for, you know, putting a single out with a bit of a rock thing on, because otherwise I don't think this song would exist.
Well, kind of, you know, lyrically, just to go back to what you're saying, it's one of your favourites. I completely agree. This is probably one of, if not my favourite song lyrically. And again, this is one of the weird times that I wrote this all in one go, in the shower, one night. So literally I put my phone on the side, I played the demo, just played it once, and listened to the track, and then it was almost like, and again, you know, I'm not necessarily spiritual, but it was almost like the words just arrived, they just appeared in my mind, and I remember kind of singing along and creating this melody, and it just kind of happening, and it just felt really organic and really natural, and I don't know whether it was what kind of going through the time or what, but this one was not an effort to write at all, and I remember kind of immediately getting out of the shower and just racing into my bedroom and just recording it straight away, because I was like, I need to write this down, I need to record this melody, because I'm going to lose it, and I really didn't want to lose it. And at its core, I suppose this is about being overwhelmed and feeling really overwhelmed by emotion, whether that's happy emotions or sad or angry or whatever the magnitude of emotions it is, but feeling overwhelmed. And it doesn't matter whether you become reclusive or whether you distract yourself for as long as you possibly can do. I'm or have been in the past, quite a master of distraction, so I kind of keep myself busy. I'm a relatively busy person anyway, but I like to keep myself busy. And this is essentially kind of about not being able to win, you know, if those emotions are there and they are kind of big and overwhelming, then it doesn't matter how long or how much you try to distract yourself. At some point, it's inevitable that you're going to feel those feelings. So this is all about tackling the little waves as they come in order to defeat the rising tide. So that's effectively where that comes in. The main hook, how do we survive the rising tide? I suppose that's a little bit about coping and a little bit about the ways that we kind of employ coping mechanisms in order to survive the rising tide. And it's probably something that I think it happens with age, and as you get older, you start sort of realising how you deal with things and being aware of it and stuff. But yeah, this is kind of about tackling things as they come and trying to deal with them when it happens, rather than bottling it all up and then it all kind of ends up in this massive tidal wave of emotion. There is one lyric in this which I really like, and it's the line that says, "Oh, the purge comes, cuts your skin deep." I really liked singing that line. I always do, because I really accentuate the bit. And that one is just really kind of all about it just being a little bit kind of too much, but at the same time quite cleansing. Yeah, I mean, this one is really interesting for me when I kind of look back on it, because it almost feels like I didn't write it, which is strange. Like, lyrically, when I look back at it, I kind of go, oh, you know, where did that come from? And when we did record it, when we recorded this version for the album, naturally, it didn't happen intentionally, but I actually switched the pre-choruses round. I kind of forgot, I suppose, which order that they came in, and I just went with what feels right. And I actually prefer it this way around. I feel like it kind of flows better in terms of the words.
Purge line's second time now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So the purge line's second, the shell line, which is, it's ironic that you say about Seashells, because I had no idea that was an inspiration.
Well, no, to be honest, I've just made that link right this second.
Yeah.
I didn't realise both songs were about the ocean, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love any song that's about the ocean, but yeah. No, I've honestly not made that connection. So I don't even think I would have told you, you know, I've been listening to this song, because even though I don't care if it colours my musical intentions, I never wanted to colour any lyrical intentions either.
Yeah.
Especially.
I get that. Yeah, so it ended up going through a slight rearrangement, I suppose. Completely unintentional, as a lot of things in this album are. But then I do think sometimes musically it is just about feel, and there's many tracks in the album where I've actually like really sat down, talked about this before, researched things, looked at different meanings for words, whereas this one was just locked in there, just waiting to come out in some way, shape or form. And then the end section, which is almost like the gang vocal side of things, I just really like Coheed and Cambria. Yeah. And I wanted to kind of get this little gang vocal thing in there, and then the ad-libs, the vocal ad-libs, there's like a bit where it goes, way, and I just wanted to get that little interval. There's like little intervals throughout the album that are just from different people. It's like Anathema, it's Agent Fresco, it's Coheed and Cambria, it's Sia, and it's just these little bits that, again, you might not necessarily know that that's what I'm referencing, but
I did in that one, because I think we had a conversation about In Keeping Us Silent Earth, or whatever that song's called, where it does it at the end.
Yep.
Which I was like, yeah, fine, I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Who cares? Everybody rips off everybody.
Little homages. Yeah. It's just kind of like a little nod, like, cheers, guys. Thanks for influencing my vocal. And then just go back to what you were saying in terms of the vocal takes as well. Tide, the first time that we did it with the demo, it was very raw, very raspy and kind of gritty. And this time I still wanted to keep elements of that, but my voice has changed, and a part of this is being in the other band that we're in, and the other band that we work together in. It's just kind of 2 hours worth of shredding vocals. So I suppose, unbeknownst to me, my voice had got stronger, and I'd not really noticed it to an extent. It's kind of just happened behind the scenes. So with this one, I wanted to channel some of that strength and energy, because a lot of the album is so vulnerable, it's so bleak and so bearing, I think, that this one was kind of like, and many of the other tracks, a little bit more fight songy, a little bit like, you know, a little bit more stronger, and show my stronger side if I've got one.